Hello. This case study is about age and the age appropriate education through the framework of the ethic of justice. It demonstrates a dilemma between two schools of thought regarding the issue as it relates to what age is appropriate for students to learn about AIDS through sex education. According to the text, author Robert Starrett describes the ethics of justice emanating from two schools of thought. So, the first school of thought originated in the 17th century and is grounded in the work of Hobbes and Kant and more contemporary scholars such as Rawls and Kohlberg. This school of thought considers the individual as central and sees social relationships as a type of social contract, where the individual, using human reason, gives up some rights for the greater good or for social justice. The second school of thought is rooted in the work of philosophers such as Aristotle, Rousseau, Hegel, Marx, and Dewey. This school of thought considers society rather than the individual as central and seeks to teach individuals how to behave throughout their lives within communities. In this case study, the teacher, Mr. Fine, had his students engage in a poster project as a creative approach for them to understand ways to prevent the transmission of the AIDS virus. He made sure he was clear that this is a seventh grade curriculum standard. It appears that Mr. Fine might be siding with the school of thought that considers society rather than the individual as central and seeks to teach individuals how to behave throughout their lives within the community. The superintendent, Dr. Jones, appears to side with the school of thought that considers individual sovereignty. The assistant principal appears to see both sides. This is what makes this a dilemma. So, the questions I would consider are as follows. Is there a law, a right, or a policy in place that relates specifically to age appropriate sex education? Is there a law, a right, or policy? If there is a law, a right, or a policy, should it be enforced? And if there isn't one, should there be one created? And then, are there any prior court rulings that address this particular topic? The facts of this case that have become most important are in regard to the adoption of the sex education curriculum and the age appropriateness of the curriculum. It is about how the curriculum really is being presented and who the intended audience is and who the actual audience is. Before the meeting with the superintendent and teacher, I would be prepared with former court rulings or policies that would help support justice. I would also have questions prepared that would challenge both sides to consider what would be in the best interest of student learning, such as what specifically does the curriculum state has to be taught in regards to AIDS? And if we are assuring parents that the curriculum is a seventh grade standard, how might we find ways to teach the standard that would not cause a disruption in the learning space? Then I would be prepared for them to ask questions and consider how we might support student voice and student passion about this topic, possibly implementing a way for students to be socially active on their own. Students have a right to voice their opinions and can advocate for anything as long as it does not disrupt the educational setting. Justice is always a dilemma because there is not just one way. There are several ways. But in my opinion, to keep the learning space safe and equitable, we have to consider all options and do what is best for student learning.